with Kelly, myself, and this is your son, is your boy.
Yes.
How you doing, Ian? Nice to meet you.
I see you guys got the memo.
It said that you were at first hesitant to take that role. Why?
I mean, look at this young man that is my most. This makes me happier than anything in the whole world. And to know that I was going to have to be in a space of a mother losing her child for 6 months, it was terrifying. I didn't realize that was the reason why. In my mind, I told myself, I don't need to play another mother. I need to chill on a mother role for a while.
But she's got this amazing energy about her. What was she like for you as mom growing up?
Man, as mom, usually people will ask me, like, what's it like having Regina King be your
She
mother?
seems like she's always in a good mood.
Yeah, she's just a super mom, really. Like, she doesn't really let, bad work days or anything come back and ruin the time that we have. So it's really awesome to have a mother that can also love to enjoy. I can enjoy spending time with
Yes.
and all that. So
Regina King has spoken on her son's death, and fingers are pointing at her ex-husband.
Regina King's son, Ian Alexander Jr., has died. Ian, who was a musician, died by suicide just days after his 26th birthday. He was Regina's only child that she shared with her ex-husband, Ian Alexander Sr.
Regina King has been carrying one of the heaviest losses a parent can face, and the more she speaks about her son, the more one uncomfortable question keeps coming up, because Ian had two parents. Yet since his death, Regina has been the one carrying that grief in public, while his father, Ian Alexander Sr., has remained almost completely silent. Now grief is personal, and nobody owes the world a performance. But when one parent is left holding all of that pain in the light, people are going to ask questions. So what does that silence really mean? Let's get into it. If you know Regina King, you know her resume is untouchable. She rose to prominence at 13 with her very first acting role on the TV series 227, and she never slowed down. Decades of work led to an Academy Award, multiple Primetime Emmy Awards, and a Golden Globe. She's played everyone from a rebellious teenager to a superhero, to Shirley Chisholm, to Riley and Huey Freeman. She is, by any measure, one of the most decorated actresses of her generation. But here is something Regina King has said over and over again, more than any award speech, more than any press junket quote. She said her greatest accomplishment was being Ian's mom.
You don't know what unconditional love is until you have a child. You may say you do, but if you don't have a child, you don't know what that is. And when you experience it, it is the most full feeling ever. So this is the greatest part about me, being a mom to Ian.
On January 22nd, 2022, the world found out that Ian Alexander Jr., musician, DJ, chef, and the only child of Oscar-winning actress and director Regina King, had died by suicide. He had been born on January 19th, 1996, and he died on 2 days after his own birthday. The bright spark was just 26 years old. Ian Alexander Jr. was her only child. She shared him with her ex-husband, record producer Ian Alexander Sr., a Canadian actor, and he worked for Quest Records, the joint venture label owned by Warner Brothers and Quincy Jones, as vice president. Regina and Ian divorced in 2007 after 10 years of marriage, and while Ian Sr. was in the industry, he was always behind the curtain, never the public face of anything, but always the quiet man in the background. The divorce between Regina and Ian wasn't friendly at first. Regina wrote an essay for Essence where she revealed she was unhappy that her son had to witness his parents in constant arguments. After the divorce, she spotted Ian Sr. at one of their son's games and realized they were seated so far apart it looked like they were strangers, and she knew she was repeating her parents' mistakes. Her own parents had divorced when she was 8 years old, and the fallout damaged her relationship with her father. She was not going to do that to Ian Jr. She found Ian Sr. after the game, to paraphrase, and told him, "You know what? This is not good for Ian. Let's put this whole thing behind us because it has nothing to do with how much we both love him." According to her, that was the turning point. From then on, by all accounts, they co-parented well. They were seen together at events. They were a united front. It worked, too. Ian Jr. was pure joy. By every account, the kind of person who made whoever he was with feel like they were the most special person in the world.
Hey! Have a good day, everybody!
The DJ performing under the name Days Dunay.
So you tryna get forked tonight? Girl, I was working for a fortnight. Yeah, strutting. So you tryna get forked tonight? Girl, I was working for a fortnight. Yeah, strutting. So you tryna get forked tonight? Girl, I was working for a fortnight. Yeah, strutting. So you tryna get forked tonight? Girl, I was working for a fortnight. Yeah, strutting. So you tryna get forked tonight? Girl, I was working for a fortnight. Yeah, strutting. So you tryna get forked tonight? Girl, I was working for a fortnight. Yeah, strutting. So you tryna get forked tonight? Girl, I was working for a fortnight. Yeah, strutting. So you tryna get forked tonight? Girl, I was working for a fortnight. Yeah, struggling for 14 nights. Got super boy, shorty, she tricky like, not tricky by, hot like a piece of roll. Like Totino, she think that I got hoes. She never know. Pipe it, pipe it up. Pipe it so good it make you roll. Oh, it's looking underneath my gut. You say you just wanna see me. No. No. You say no. Every time I touch your phone. Then in that 10 minutes you be like, hey, babe, you know you can do what you want. So before that, I'm tryna fuck you, baby. We don't have no ways. I wanna go back home. Be on your own. Get you out with the bomb.
He was a skilled chef who once cooked dinner for Sasha Obama, and Regina didn't even find out until after. He and his mother had matching tattoos that read unconditional love in Aramaic.
And I'm looking at your arm, and I'm told you have a similar tattoo to your son.
Yes, yes. It's Hebrew, Aramaic. In Aramaic, it's phrasing. Hebrew's more like letters, not really meaning much, but it means something.
What does it
Aramaic, unconditional love. We were taking Kabbalah classes, and he said, well, let's choose 3 each and not tell each other which ones they are, and whichever one that's matching, that's the one we're going to get a tattoo. And we both chose unconditional
That's nice.
love.
That's the most important thing of being parents.
Yes.
He called her Co, which was short for co-pilot, and he called her a superhero to her face and in print, without embarrassment. But behind closed doors, something much heavier was happening, and that's where things get interesting. Here's what Regina King told Robin Roberts on Good Morning America in March 2024, which was basically her first television interview since her son's death 2 full years later.
Why would that weight be given to Ian? You know, of all of the things that we had gone through with the therapy, with psychiatrists and programs, and Ian was like, I'm tired of talking, Mom.
Let me go over that with y'all. What we are unfolding here has a lot of therapy, psychiatrists, programs, multiple rounds, and a years-long battle with depression that Ian Jr. fought while his mother fought it beside him. It speaks volumes of his mother's affection for him and how close they were that his battle was not a secret to them. This was not something that came out of nowhere. Regina said this in an interview with Harper Bazaar. Let me read it for y'all. We knew what we were going through, but he never presented that way. That's why I know that a smile doesn't always mean happy. He would never not let whoever he was with feel like they were the most special person in the world. Despite the fact that Ian Jr. was carrying so much weight on the inside, he kept it beautiful on the outside for all who knew him. But file this away, because we're coming back to it. When Regina said we, when she said we had gone through therapy and psychiatrists and programs, she was not talking about Ian Sr. She was talking about herself and Ian Jr., just the two of them together trying to fight this thing. On January 14th, 2022, 5 days before Ian died, he posted 2 things to Twitter. The first, you know that episode of SpongeBob where they go inside his brain and it's a bunch of mini SpongeBobs just losing their shit. Yeah, that one really hits home. The second, I don't think Instagram is healthy for me. In retrospect, He was telling us what he was feeling in the only language he could find. And then, 4 days after those tweets, one day before his death, he posted to Instagram promoting an upcoming performance at Bardot on January 28th, writing, "It's been a minute, but now we back at the jump off. Don't you want to say you supported Déjeuner before the blow-up?" That post got hundreds of likes, and Regina herself liked it with a single word. She had no idea. That's the cruelest part. She had no idea she was commenting on her son's last Instagram post. Ian Alexander Jr. turned 26 on January 19th, 2022, and he died that same day. When Regina King's rep issued a statement on behalf of the family, Ian Alexander Sr. issued nothing in his own name. There was no statement or anything else from him. His name appeared in news articles only because journalists wrote that Ian Jr. was Regina King's son with her ex-husband, Ian Alexander Sr. Every article about Ian Sr. in the wake of this tragedy was written about him, not by him. And for 3 good years, he has maintained that silence and that quiet. Meanwhile, the world was watching Regina. Social media flooded with condolences. Pam Grier wrote, "Regina King and her family will need the biggest hugs at some point." D.L. Hewley tweeted his prayers. Lonnie Love shared her condolences as well. All of this was directed at Regina. Addressed to Regina, because Regina was the one visible, but Ian Sr. was nowhere. Now, here is what I need y'all to really sit with. Ian Alexander Sr. has always been private. He basically has no active social media presence and mostly has lived almost entirely outside the reach of public attention since his divorce from Regina in 2007. Nobody thinks that in itself is a crime. It is important to understand that some people want to be left alone and that the entertainment industry can eat people alive. I mean, everybody can remember Tom Holland, who is definitely one of the biggest names in Hollywood currently, basically saying that he'd rather stay away from the industry.
I really do not like Hollywood. It is not for me. The business really scares me. I understand that I'm a part of that business and I enjoy my kind of interactions with it. But that said, I am always looking for ways to kind of remove myself from it, to kind of just live as normal a life as possible. Like, you'll never see me at an award show that I don't have to be at. I'm never going to a red carpet event that I'm not in the film of, you know? I don't want the attention when I don't need it.
But this situation is different because we are not talking about privacy as a lifestyle preference, and we are talking about the death of a child. We are talking about a shared loss, a loss that by every definition belongs to both parents equally. Ian Alexander Sr. never made a public statement after his son died. It's not like he has any social media pages to grieve in, but there was no written post. And while reporters may have reached out to speak to him, he never gave a sentence to any one of them. And what happened as a result? Well, it was tough on Regina, that's for sure. She stayed away from the spotlight for 2 years, and people noticed and respected that. But eventually, the work called her back. She directed a movie, then promoted it. And when she showed up to promote Shirley, a Shirley Chisholm biopic she had dedicated to her son, the grief came with her. At the 96th Academy Awards in March 2024, she wore an orange gown, her son's favorite color.
Giving this transcendent performance on the big screen, where we don't just see Sophia's strength, but we see her vulnerability as well.
She walked the red carpet in her son's color, in front of cameras and crowds and flashing lights, and nobody standing next to her shared that weight. It was hers alone. Next up was the GMA interview with Robin Roberts, 2 years after Ian's death, and her first television interview since he died. And she said things that should have broken every person watching.
I know that I share this grief with everyone, but no one else is Ian's mom, you know? Only me. And so it's mine. And the sadness will never go away. It'll always be with me.
No one else is Ian's mom, only me. Think that through. One thing you have to understand is that she isn't saying it bitterly or calling Ian Sr. out by name, but she is speaking her truth as a mother. Despite that, the sentence lands differently when you know that Ian's father has not said a single word publicly in 3 years, because what it means in context is She is the only one standing here carrying this out loud. She also told Harper's Bazaar, when I look at all of the work and everything that we and Ian put into trying to move through the depression, he's pure joy and pure light. But he was struggling so much. Notice again, we and Ian, she and her son, mother and child, fighting together for years. Where was Ian Sr. in that fight? We genuinely don't know because he hasn't said anything. And this is where I need y'all to understand what's actually at stake here. This isn't about attacking a man in grief. Grief is private, and it is brutal, and it does not owe the world a performance. I believe that genuinely. But here's the flip side of that truth. Regina King did not get that grace. She had to show up, and she had to speak. She had to stand at podiums and walk red carpets and give interviews and face cameras while carrying the heaviest thing a human being can carry. She had to do it while he disappeared, and she did it with her chest open. She talked about being angry at God. She talked about guilt, and she admitted publicly that she wonders every day what she could have done differently. That is a woman who would choose to love her son all over again, knowing it ends where it ended. If that doesn't crack something in your chest, I don't know what will. And she did all of that in front of the entire world, while the other parent said nothing. Now, I'm not saying Ian Sr. is a bad man. I'm saying there are two people who lost the same child, and only one of them showed up for public reckoning. And the one who showed up every single time, completely alone. There is also something larger here that I think we need to name. There is a pattern in how Black women are expected to carry pain, to absorb it, survive it, and then present it beautifully for consumption. Regina King has done everything right. She grieved privately first. She came back when she was ready, and she spoke thoughtfully and with grace. But the asymmetry is undeniable. One parent was invisible and got to stay that way. The other had no such option. The industry, the fans, the press, everyone looked to Regina. Ian Sr. wasn't really expected to show up and perform for the masses, but Regina was. Everyone kept looking to her for her story, which means she was left holding all of it. So what do I actually think about this? I think Ian Alexander Sr.'s silence may be entirely sincere grief, and I am not in a position to tell any parent how to mourn the loss of their child. That would be cruel, and it would be wrong. But I also think that when one parent has to face the world alone, year after year, interview after interview, red carpet after red carpet, and the other parent is nowhere to be found, that disparity is worth exploring. We should be able to observe certain things about who carries the weight in these situations and why. Regina King said, "Grief is a journey. I understand that grief is love that has no place to go." She found a place for it, though. She put it in her work. She put it in the colors she wore to the Oscars. She put it in the dedication of her film. She put it in every interview she was brave enough to give. She made a place for it because she had to, and that was because the world was looking at her, and she had to decide whether to hide or to show up. And she showed up. Ian Sr. put his grief somewhere we can't see, and that's fine, but it means that Regina King has been grieving this loss for all of us, and doing it alone, while the man who shares that loss has been silent for 3 years. The confrontation in this story was never going to be a screaming fight or a tabloid moment. The real confrontation is in this disparity, with one parent standing in the light, holding it all, while the world watches, and the other parent being able to grieve in private. Ian Alexander Jr. deserved for both of his parents to speak his name. Regina has done it beautifully, consistently, bravely, in his favorite color, in film dedications, in E-inspirations, in every interview she has ever given since his death. The other half of that story remains unwritten, and I don't know if it ever will be written. My question for y'all is this. When we talk about grief, about parenting, about accountability, do fathers get a different set of expectations than mothers? Because I genuinely want to know what you think. Drop it in the comments. And if this video hit different for you, subscribe, like it, let me know. Because there is a lot more to say about how Hollywood handles grief, how Black women carry it, and how the people who built something beautiful together handle it when it breaks. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.